Hi, team. Well, welcome to 10 Talks. Today's conversation is all about how do we win your way. We had the honor of having an amazing guest on that really shared her journey, her story, and her recommendations for how to really set women up to win our way, not only as athletes, but as coaches, as parents. Great words of wisdom. So, Kathy, share with us as you and I are on this journey. Team, just if you're just tuning in, Kathy and I are on a journey to discover how women win our way. If you'd like to get involved, go to howwomenwin.com. So Kathy, our guest, go ahead and intro her. Let the team know a little bit about who we're going to be debriefing and talking about today.
Yeah, so today we talked to Sharon Clark, coach at Butler University for the last 22 years, was at UC Davis before that, knew when she was an athlete that she wanted to coach. And part of how she knew it, Carlette, is because she was encouraged by her coaches to pursue coaching. So maybe a step that we want to add to this journey for the women that we're talking to is, are we really being intentional about encouraging women to come in? Sharon also is the president of the American Volleyball Coaches Association. And so my boss has been in that role for 2 years. And before that, served on our diversity committee, and just really been a gift to us during this last year. Strong female leader, pandemic, racial injustice, and lots of reckoning and thoughtfulness. And boy, we just couldn't have had a better leader.
Well, she was beautiful in her description of ways that women can help each other win, what our way is. I want to start with how we finished, because we asked her, what would be your words of wisdom for parents to really help young women get set up for great success? And interesting enough, she said, from a male-female perspective, dads will let their little guys get wrestled around and cry and kind of, tough it out. And when it comes to their little girls, they're all about defending them, making sure they don't fail, getting it, really somewhat secure, or coddled has been a word, so that she doesn't have to be tough, or she shouldn't have to tough it out, or any of those kind of things. And her words of wisdom were, let them fail, let the kids fail, let them figure it out. And as a college coach, she said, I need to find athletes that can communicate with me. I need them to be able to tell me how they're feeling, go for what they want, be able to say, why am I not on the court? What's happening? Like really that strong sense of self, sense of identity. That's really hard. So what did you pick up as we're just processing how to help our kids fail so that we're setting them up for success?
Well, so much of, I'm going to stereotype here, but so much of being a mom, if you will, is, hey, seeing that the kid's headed towards the stove and the stove is on, and stop, the child is headed into the street, stop, that's what moms do. That's why a lot of kids make it into adulthood. Is we don't let them fail by like, hey, go ahead and run in front of that car. Oopsie, you failed. And so there are some instincts here among parents, moms and dads, to protect their young. And there really isn't a reason to think that protection is going to stop when you see somebody that you think is being mean to your child, or is hurting your child, hurting their feelings. Maybe you have a little tender-hearted guy or gal and stuff, and you see a coach being tough with them, and you just see them crumble. And, that is just so difficult for a parent to go, okay, you're going to get over this, you're going to get past this, and I'm not going to take it out on that person. But Sharon's point, which you've identified here, is, she's very intentional in the recruiting process. And she said she's become that way because she's seen what happens when she doesn't. When she is asking questions in the recruiting process and an athlete can't answer them, or is looking to someone else to answer them, or whatever, she knows, even though this kid's a really good volleyball player, that she and that player are going to have difficulty if that player decides to come play for her. And so, yeah, I think some of what we learned is discernment on the part of coaches, particularly young coaches. Sharon said she had to learn it by making those mistakes. It's like, all right, so young coaches, what are you like? Do you know yourself well enough here that you can try and figure out what's the temperament of the kid that's going to succeed in your program?
Well, and really setting not only the athlete up, but you and your coaching staff up to be your authentic self and to be able to say, you know, she said, I'm strong, I'm dominant, this is what I want. How nice to hear that. And then to be able to determine, do I want that? Like, is that how I want to spend my next 4 years? And so, as we talk about just that process of how women win, we want to start young to really train young girls how to win for themselves, how to know themselves, how to articulate it, how to communicate, and also how to honor. You know, we are tenderhearted, or we, you know, or we're whatever we are, that it's totally okay. And that's what I value so much about the work we're doing, Kathy, is that what we found as we've interviewed these great guests is that the key is being authentic to ourselves, just knowing who we are, speaking up for who we are, valuing who we are. We don't have to battle each other. We can be for each other in a way that's very honoring. And so we've got the athlete, we've got them into college, they've made this decision, they've been very successful, or they'd never show up in our college courts or fields or anything else because they're on, you know, they've moved into a whole nother level. It may be the first time they fail without their parents. And it may be the first time they fail at something that they are really good at. So the definition of failure is confusing, because just because I'm not starting on a college team by no means means I failed. It just is hard for me to wrap my head around it if I've been starting since I was 8 years old. So really what we've seen that's manifested is that without any experience to communicate, to go through failure, when they get into the college system, they go for firing a coach because it's like, you've hurt my feelings, or, you've hurt my identity. And that then takes our women coaches out of coaching. And then we don't have any role models. We don't be able, we're not able to set the young women up for success and the young women coaches. So what did you get from our conversation that really will help not only the athlete, the parent, and the coach, but that we can come together really for a win-win?
Well, again, some of it is fit on the front end. I think we've talked a little bit throughout this conversation, Carlette, about the transfer portal and how easy it is just to go somewhere else. But there's part of it that's probably saving coaches' jobs also, and maybe saving athletes' careers, if you will. It's like, hey, we're in a bad fit.
Right.
Let me get out of here and find a better fit. Instead of, hey, we're stuck with each other, for 4 or 5 years. And, I realize I've made a mistake, but I can't get out of here without costs and sitting out and all those other things. And so, So I think recognizing on the front end, what is it? But I thought also Sharon was real straightforward in talking about some of the gender differences that are what they are. I mean, didn't talk about it as if like, hey, this is unfair and everything else. This just is what it is. That, her female coaches, and she is a female coach, there's going to be that part of the relationship building of how are you? What's going on? What's up with your family? Who are you as a person? And that expectation and the fulfillment of that kind of relational things that they may not expect from a male coach, but that if you set that foundation and you have it, then there's some trust that when I snap at you, and maybe if you're playing for Sharon, you might snap right back. She's given us this example of, hey, Clark, let me handle it. All right. Quit just telling me what to do. I got it. All right. An athlete has that relationship with their coach when there's trust that that's not going to break it's not going to break the system down, is that's part of this tension of competing. And I think in women's sports, we don't see that often. We're not, because so often aggression is covert instead of overt.
Mhm.
And assertiveness has to go underground instead of like, it's out there. And it doesn't mean we don't apologize. It doesn't mean we can't be wrong. It's like, hey, I lost it. I snapped. I said some things I didn't mean to say. I'm really sorry. And you have to mean it then. I am really sorry. But that then we go forward. I mean, that's the whole critical part of it. Then we go forward. And I think it's so critical for us to teach our women athletes, because that's going to be the rough and tumble of the workplace most of the time.
Well, Kathy, what Sharon was really articulate about is that, yes, she does let an athlete come back and say, stop telling me what to do. I want to do it my way. And then she says, the ball better not drop, right? So she doesn't just have the athlete say, I want it my way. She then holds them accountable to, you can do it your way, but it better work. And if it doesn't work, you're going to do it my way. So I think that's a great winning strategy, that women have that courage to be like, I don't have to be right. I just have to be like, you know what, we're in this together and we're going to find the right way. So if you're committed to doing it your way, I'll support that. And you better get, it better work. If it doesn't work, we're not going to be angry or, hurt people or any of that stuff. We're going to know, okay, we tried that. It didn't work. Let's move on. I think that's the muscle that women have not really exercised enough, that they have confidence or courage to go for speaking up and then fail at it and be able to say, okay, I went for it. My idea didn't work, or my system didn't work. You're right. Let's come together in it so that it's not shame-based or, I'm embarrassed or any of those things. Because Sharon did talk about guys can go out in competition and they will compete. And then they'll go in the locker room and the other male athletes will kind of put that guy in place so that it's a system that works. And she was talking about, we don't have a strong woman system.
Well, we do, but it's based on different things. Okay. The male system is based on hierarchy. And so she's right. And this will happen and stuff. A guy gets out of his place and the hierarchy comes and puts him back in his place.
Okay.
That's not the system that women are comfortable with. They're comfortable with this web of interconnected relationships. And so, when that gets frayed, and I don't think, Carlette, because we're dealing with sports, that it's going to be different. I think we as women have to figure out how to succeed in this system where there are differences in terms of how we're going to respond to things. And to me, that's the fascination of this journey. Not that we have to get women to act like men or to respond to things like guys, to go in the locker room and put each other down and stuff. That will blow up a women's team so quickly. It will just destroy it. But yet, how do we deal with the fact when we're not getting along? How do we deal with conflict? And it's not bury it and forget about it.
Well,
because
first of all, women don't forget about it.
well, we won't forget about it. We will not forget about it, but it's certainly not bury it, and so how do we disagree and come through it as teammates, as coach and player? I think that's what we're all trying to figure out.
Well, Kathy, Sharon articulated it beautifully, because she said that what the difference is from a male-female perspective, that just as you said, that's the way guys do it. The way girls do it is they come in and they keep it to themselves, or they pull off 5 other people and they start these side conversations. And all of it is more about validating that I'm right, or somebody hurt my feelings, or I actually, as women, we can sometimes go into the problem versus going for the solution. And I think that's something that because we're so drawn to being in relationship, that we rally into be in relationship with me. And our definition is relationship means you're for me. And so you're going to say, yeah, that person shouldn't have done that. Or you're right, just because I'm trying to own that you still like me component.
Right. Well, the other thing, I think we have to be willing, When we get hurt, okay, we withdraw or we attack.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, because as women, we have been socialized not to attack,
Mhm.
right? Anger and aggressiveness, attacking, is penalized in the female paradigm. And so we learn and we learn and we learn and we learn that if you are hurt, you you bury, you burrow, if you will, it goes underground. And so how do we let women know that and I mean, you've raised 3 daughters. I mean, you never had a fight in your house, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And wrong answer.
Yeah, I mean, yes, all of us who grew up in families, I mean, we fought with our sisters, we fought with our mom, and, probably particularly if we're women, and yet we stayed in relationship. And so that's the kind of thing that we have to teach our athletes how to do. And again, it starts from trust, and trust starts from vulnerability and saying, here's who I am. And I thought one of the things Sharon said that is empowering, and I think we heard this from Sue Enquist, and we've heard it from several others, is you have to let the athlete determine what they want. What do they want from this experience? Hey, this isn't, it's not working for you right now. Your role's not working for you, or you're not, getting out of this what you want. What do you want? And then
what are you willing to?
and what's your plan to get there that I can help facilitate? But it's what you want, and it's your plan, and I'm the facilitator here.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, some teaching of maturity for young people too. Some things that we weren't very good at when we were their age.
Well, the gift of this conversation is that we all want to get better. We're all seeing that there's this moment in time where we don't have to keep doing it the guy's way, or, and I just value the conversations. That's what we're learning so much about. I think that's the starting place, is just tell us about your world. Tell us about what's going for you, what's not working. And we can learn so much from men. We have always, they've been for us. They've been really on the journey with us, and they are really good at figuring this out. And another thing that Sharon said that was for coaches was, let's get a system in place. Let's get a system that as soon as you graduate as an athlete, you understand that coaching is an option. There's salaries that are valuing you and worthy of doing it. So again, I really respect just how women win. Our way is, number one, support each other. Number two, be for each other. And number three, help each other figure this out, because it's not as if there's some perfect way of doing it. And we have a moment in time to really honor our big hearts, honor our vulnerability, honor our strengths, and come together and say, you know what, this is a little uncomfortable, or I blew it, I'm new at this. And we can be like, we all are, let's figure out how to do it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think as much as anything is valuing who we are as women, how we accomplish things as women, how we lead. I mean, I'm not going to say that there isn't times in my life where I haven't envied the guy's way or whatever. But at the end of the day, I never really wanted to be that. And I'm really glad that the women that I coached were women. And that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have enjoyed coaching men. I probably would have and stuff. But it's such a powerful, powerful thing to be able to build these bonds with other women. As Sharon said there too and stuff, an athlete that, she maybe thought didn't have a great experience, who comes in, pushing a stroller and said, hey, I just want to drop by, and she said, so sometimes they'll say, boy, I'm sorry for what I was like. And again, that's just emotional intelligence and growth and that kind of thing. And being able, again, I'm sure your daughters, I'll use them as examples and stuff. Now looking back going, okay, you weren't the worst mom in the world.
Topics. Yeah. So, well, the gift of it is just, I think about being able to say I'm sorry, or being able to, say I've made a mistake, or I really valued her talking about that athlete that comes back and says, I'm sorry about who I was. We're all in this together. We're growing and figuring this out. And, they're young kids that are being put in these grown-up situations.
Well, and I often end up saying to them, well, I'm sorry about how I was, because they'll come back and tell stories, they'll tell their kids about, what I said to them or what I did to them or whatever and stuff. And so they're like, God, I'm sorry I was so immature. And I'm like, God, I'm sorry I was such a witch, So we learn to appreciate each other in hindsight with neither one of us remembering exactly remembering the good in the other, if you will, and each of us admitting in our own ways or in ourselves where we fell short.
Well, and Kathy, this brings up a topic that I think women talk about a lot, is that we say we're sorry a lot. So in terms of, we start with an apology. I'm sorry about this. We're talking about something completely different. We're talking about an apology from strength, an apology that we have gone on the journey. We went for what we were going for. We didn't handle it with grace. We weren't smooth about it. We weren't any good at it. But our intentions were, we were going for it. And then we have the grace, the EQ, if we want to say, and I would say the healing time, that space where we have been able to reflect and come back and say, I'm so sorry I was such a jerk at 19, or I'm so sorry I was such a jerk as your boss or your coach at, 50. I mean, what a beautiful gift for how women win our way, is to honor each other, to be for each other, to say we're sorry when we've screwed up, and to be able to heal and just grow in such a deep, forward motion that's about helping each one of us figure out that we can go for it and it's not going to end the relationship.
No, for sure. And that, and we didn't talk a lot about it today and stuff, but what we have through this journey is just confidence. I mean, some of that is confidence. The ability to forgive yourself, the ability to forgive someone else. It comes from a sense of confidence and a sense of self-love that you're okay. And screwed up, but you're okay. That we give ourselves that gift to start with so that we can give it to others.
Well, team, fabulous words of wisdom. So go out this week. We've heard communication, confidence, caring, connecting, courage to figure this out. We're all on this journey together. So go out and figure out how you want to win your way. We'd love to have you on our journey. Go to howwomenwin.com and connect with us, and let's figure this out. Thank you, Kathy, for another great conversation.
Thank you, Carlette.